Well, how y'all are this afternoon? It's your buddy George Jones. I'm down here at the shop, brag about it, guns and ammo. And a couple of rifles I want to show you. This will be a 60-second marksmanship tip and gun handling tip that'll probably turn into, I don't know, an hour and 45 minutes. Some interesting rifles came into the store today, and I wanted to make a little video explaining these rifles. Now, and they are this thing, one of them. This is a Japanese Arisaka rifle, World War II. This particular rifle is a last-ditch rifle. Now, we've talked about last-ditch guns before, and various guns that will shoot, should be shot, can't be shot, are unshootable, or just plain dangerous. This particular rifle is what is referred to as a last ditch. This rifle is pretty much a standard Arisaka rifle, which was manufactured at the end of World War II in Japan, and was manufactured with the intent of it being a main battle rifle. The situation in Japan was getting pretty desperate. They had made some design changes in their service rifles to make them cheaper to manufacture. But for the most part, they were still fireable. Bearing in mind that the Arisaka Action was the strongest bolt-action rifle action manufactured in World War II. Now, how do you know? Well, this is the last-ditch rifle. Well, first of all, it has a two-piece stock. The stock hasn't been broken. It's actually made this way. There was such a shortage in 1945 and 1944 for wood in Japan that they were actually going to bombed out houses and stealing people's dinner tables and bringing them into the arsenal and redoing the wood as rifle stocks. Typically on the last ditch rifle, you'll see a certain number of things. One is the front sight is of the standard barleycorn without protective ears. The barrels will typically be manufactured so quickly that they appear to be threaded as opposed to lathe turn finished. This particular one has the front band and bayonet lug welded in place at the factory. And over time, the wood has drawn up a little bit, seasoned and gotten shrunk, and the front forearm furl has shrunk, and it's loosely in there. Not a very good thing to be out on patrol with. The action is the same as the standard Arisaka. The rear sight is simply a blade with a peep sight in it instead of the sight raft and adjustable for elevation sight that would normally be available on the rifle. The cocking piece on the back of the bolt is simply welded in place and hasn't been checkered or knurled or anything like that. The bolt handle is simply a rod that's been turned down to have something similar to a knob on it. It's called a barrel handle. It's made a little bit cheaper to manufacture. The safety on this rifle works in the normal way. Palm the cocking piece in and turn it over there to the safe position, or in this case, it's in the fire position. Okay, back over to the safe position. Tangs are in place and everything. The butt plate is simply a piece of wood nailed in place. So they were trying to get them out of the factory as fast as they could and get them into the hands of troops. Now, I've inspected this rifle. This rifle where the chrysanthemum, the emperor's mark, would normally be, has been ground away, which is one of the capture regulations at the end of the war that, the chrysanthemum had to be ground away. And I'm not sure why. But this rifle had one time had a chrysanthemum, and there's a place on there where the chrysanthemum has been ground away, so you know that. I looked in this rifle, looked down the barrel. The barrel is crisp and sharp and bright. This rifle is safe to shoot with 7.7 commercial ammunition, and like that. I don't know. Some last-ditch type weapons command a little bit higher price than the standard service rifle for the simple reason that less of them were made. So, you know, this rifle doesn't have any provision on it for sling swivels. No place where sling swivels were. There's a hole that goes all the way through the stock right here. I'm thinking that's where at one time it was a piece of furniture and that was a dowel rod. Hey, you got me. Your guess good as mine. Got another rifle I want to show you of the Japanese capture type. This is the aforementioned training rifle that we talked about before. That's designed to shoot wooden bullet blank ammunition at very short range targets. This is the cadet version of that. This is designed, it's right at a 2/3 scale Arisaka training rifle. It's made just like the Type 38 long rifle, with the exception of it's about 2/3 the size. This one was probably manufactured in the early 1930s, designed for children to train at manual of arms with. It has a steel butt plate on it, a semblance of sling swivels. Okay, and sling swivel up here, little sling swivel up here. Some type of bayonet attachment, which is looks to be more along the lines of a Hotchkiss style bayonet. It has a sight on it which mimics an elevation type sight, but the sight doesn't elevate at all, even though it's graduated for ranges, which makes no sense at all. The bolt removal mechanism is this little spring catch right here, little piece of wire, little piece of spring steel. This particular example doesn't have a cocking piece or firing pin in it. It's been lost over time, don't know. And it's a little bitty short action training rifle for the purpose of firing some type of blank ammunition. I don't have to warn anybody if they've got one of these not to shoot it, because there ain't no ammo for it, which is probably a good thing. No provision for a chrysanthemum is on it. Anytime you see a Japanese type rifle that does not have a chrysanthemum on it, or a place where the chrysanthemum has been ground away, it's not fireable. That's the rule of thumb. And it's overall, you know, 1/3 the size of a full-size rifle, 2/3 the size of a full-size rifle. It looks like a shooting gun, but it's definitely not. The barrel is bored all the way through, but it has no lands and grooves in it whatsoever. The action is not long enough to accept 7.7 or 6.5 round. So, you know, but it's a cadet rifle. Cadet rifles are pretty common, actually. Cadet rifles go all the way back to when West Point was a private school right after the Revolutionary War. The British, the Germans, the French, the Americans all produced versions of cadet guns over the years. Most of them are fireable, some of them are not. But something interesting to look at, something that's out there. If you have one of these guns, bring it to a competent gunsmith, or me, and, you know, have someone look at it for you before you take it out and fire it. All right, then, that's your 2.5 hour marksmanship and gun handling tip for today. Y'all have fun, be safe, and remember, get people to subscribe, because when I get 1,000, I'm giving away a gun. All right then, folks, we'll see y'all. Can't push this button, turn it off. That's cinematography right there.